All right, so get this. We're going deep into Hopi prophecies today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. And maybe a little unsettling too, you know? We're looking at Hopi Survival Kit
Okay.
by Thomas Emails and Chief Dan Evehema. It's really packed with insights about where humanity might be headed. I mean, warnings, but also like these glimmers of hope, you know? All from this really unique perspective on the world.
I see.
Our mission, if you will, is to unpack the core messages of these prophecies and see how they connect to us even today.
You know, what I find so intriguing about Hopi prophecies is they're not just about predicting the future.
Right.
They're about this intricate web of cause and effect,
Okay.
highlighting how much power our choices really have to shape what comes next.
So it's not like destiny, we have some say in things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Hopis believes that how severe this coming great purification is,
Mhm.
and think of that as like a period of intense global upheaval.
Gotcha.
Depends on us, on our actions.
Wow, no pressure, right?
Yeah, they say we can either make things worse or we can actually lessen the impact.
That's a lot of responsibility. So what should we be watching out for? Are there signs like red flags that the Hopi say to look for in our time?
They get pretty specific, actually.
Yeah.
Unpredictable weather, late springs, early frosts, societal unrest, even a halo of mist appearing around the sun.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and not just once. They say it'll happen 4 times.
A halo of mist. That's some vivid imagery for sure. Kind of makes you wonder if any of those signs are already showing up, doesn't it?
Well, that is the question, isn't it? The prophecies also really go into how modern society works, how we operate.
Okay.
The Hopi see our reliance on technology, the way we consume natural resources, and how we've kind of pushed aside ancient wisdom as all contributing to this potential upheaval.
I see.
There's this one quote that really stuck with me. Modern man depends on the money system and no longer on Mother Earth for food.
Wow, that's powerful. Makes you think about how sustainable our way of life actually is, you know? Like, what would the Hopi say are the most unsustainable parts of how we live now?
That's for each of us to think about, really.
True.
These prophecies aren't afraid to point out how we're treating the planet.
Right.
They're saying neglecting that connection will have serious consequences.
And then there's this whole mystery about the true white brother, right? Who is that figure and what part do they play in all of this?
Ah, yes. The true white brother. One of the most fascinating and debated figures in these prophecies.
Yeah, I can see why.
They could guide humanity towards peace and renewal, or they could be this force of punishment.
Oh, wow.
It's not even clear if it's an actual person or more like a symbol of some greater power, some idea.
A wild card then. So what are some ways people interpret who or what this figure might be?
Well, some think the true white brother represents a spiritual awakening,
Okay.
like a return to traditional values. Others see it as a warning about what happens when power goes unchecked. It's a real head-scratcher for sure, and the prophecies don't give us any easy answers.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got this looming great purification, signs that might already be happening, a critique of how we live today, and this mysterious true white brother who could be our savior or our downfall.
Intense stuff. But they're not saying it's a guaranteed apocalypse, are they? There's still hope, right?
Exactly. Remember that fork in the road I mentioned?
Uh-huh.
The Hopi prophecies really give us a choice. Destruction or renewal.
Okay.
And the path we take depends on what we do, both as a group and as individuals.
So we're not just passengers. We actually have a say in things.
That's the empowering part. The Hopi emphasize individual responsibility and aligning ourselves with the Creator's laws.
Okay.
Living in harmony with nature, respecting ancient wisdom, building strong communities. These are the things that can steer us toward a better future, they say.
So it's not just surviving, it's about thriving.
Exactly.
Creating a world where people and nature can actually coexist.
That's the idea.
So what can we do then? Like tangible steps, both personally and together, that can help build that kind of future. It gets really interesting here. Even small acts of kindness, compassion, and taking care of the environment can ripple outwards, they believe.
I like that.
We're all connected, so our choices impact not just ourselves, but the whole planet.
That's like that butterfly effect, right?
Exactly.
But it's not all on us, is it? The prophecies also talk about other tribes playing a role.
You're picking up on something really interesting there. The prophecy specifically mentions the Navajo, potentially helping the Hopi.
Huh.
And maybe other tribes too. It doesn't get into specifics, but it definitely suggests that working together between tribes is powerful, especially when facing these global challenges.
That makes sense. So what kind of intertribal collaboration could really make a difference, given the future these prophecies describe?
Now, that's a great question to consider. Imagine if different indigenous communities,
Yeah.
each with their own knowledge and traditions, came together to share their wisdom,
Hmm.
their strategies for getting through these tough times.
That would be amazing.
Talk about a force for positive
Oh,
change.
wow, using the wisdom of generations to build a future that's resilient and sustainable.
Exactly. The Hopi prophecies urge us to recognize how everything's connected and how much potential we have to shape a better future together.
Right.
We're not just along for the ride. We're
Right.
active participants in creating the world we want.
I like that. All right, so we've looked at the Great Purification, those
Mm.
warning signs, the critique of modern society, the mysterious true white brother, the power of choice, and this potential for intertribal collaboration.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. But it's fascinating, right?
What I find remarkable is how these prophecies blend warnings with hope.
Yeah.
They offer a glimpse into a future that's both challenging and full of potential, urging us to reflect on our choices
Right.
and the kind of world we want to build.
There's definitely this sense of urgency,
Uh-huh.
but also this feeling of empowerment. Like it's not just passively waiting for things to happen, but actively shaping the course of events.
Exactly. The Hopi prophecies aren't set in stone. They're living narratives that change and adapt just like we do. The future isn't predetermined, it's woven from the choices we make, all of us.
Okay, so what does all of this mean for us right now? What's the takeaway?
The Hopi prophecies challenge us to take a good look at our priorities,
Okay.
to question what we assume about modern society, and to rediscover our connection to the natural world.
Right.
They remind us that we're all connected and that our actions have consequences, both good and bad.
It's like a wake-up call, telling us to step up and take responsibility for the future.
Exactly. They offer this really unique perspective on the challenges and opportunities ahead,
I see.
urging us to embrace balance, sustainability, and collective wisdom.
So it's not just surviving, it's about thriving, creating a future where humanity and nature can actually get along.
Precisely. The Hopi actually envision a world where we live in balance with ourselves, with each other, and with nature. A world where ancient wisdom and modern innovation work together to create a truly sustainable future.
That's inspiring. We've covered so much, but it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
We are. There's so much more to explore.
Well, that's perfect because we have part 2 coming up. What can our listeners expect next?
We'll be diving even deeper into these prophecies,
Great.
looking at their historical context, their cultural significance, and the profound insights they offer into what it means to be human.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Ready for more? Let's dive into one of those really vivid and maybe unsettling images from the Hopi survival kit,
Okay, which one?
the gourd of ashes.
Oh, right. I remember that.
It describes this gourd, saying that if it were to be dropped from the sky, it would boil the oceans and scorch the earth.
Whoa, that's some serious apocalyptic imagery. It makes you wonder if it's a metaphor for something, right? Like maybe nuclear weapons or some kind of environmental catastrophe.
It's definitely powerful. It evokes destruction, especially if we keep going down a path that's not sustainable. The Hopi prophecies often use this kind of vivid symbolism to get their messages across. It's up to us to interpret what those symbols mean and how they connect to how we understand the world today.
So this gourd of ashes could be a warning about technology becoming destructive, or even a symbol for the damage from climate change.
It's possible, but the prophecies don't just focus on physical destruction either.
Right.
They also talk a lot about spiritual balance and living in harmony with the Creator's laws.
So it's not just about like recycling and reducing our carbon footprint. There's something deeper going on.
Exactly. The Hopi worldview emphasizes this idea of interconnectedness, this interdependence.
Okay.
It's about recognizing we're part of this larger web of life, and what we do affects everything else. It's about respecting that delicate balance in nature.
Which goes back to what we were talking about before about the Hopi view of technology. It's not that technology is bad in itself, right? But it's how we use it and whether it brings us closer to that balance and harmony or takes us further away.
That's a key point. The prophecies seem to say technology can be used for good, for healing and connection, or it can become a force of division and destruction. It all comes down to our intentions and how we choose to use it.
So we need to be mindful of the tools we create
Yeah.
and how they impact everything around us. The prophecies also talk about preserving ancient wisdom, right? Like the Hopi traditions themselves.
Yes, they suggest those traditions and ways of knowing hold valuable insights that can guide us through the complexity of the modern world.
Right.
They warn against dismissing those traditions as outdated or irrelevant.
It's like they're saying cultures that have lived in harmony with nature for centuries might actually have the answers to a more sustainable future for all of us.
Yes,
That's humbling for sure.
it is. The Hopi prophecies encourage us to learn from the past, to respect the wisdom of those who came before us,
Right.
and to recognize that true progress involves both innovation and preservation.
So it's not about romanticizing the past or rejecting progress altogether.
No, not at all.
It's about finding a way to integrate the best of both.
It's exactly. Finding that balance between honoring tradition and embracing innovation, between respecting ancient wisdom and utilizing modern knowledge. It's about forging a path forward that's both sustainable and fulfilling.
The prophecies also talk about this time of great upheaval and change,
Yes,
a time when people in high places will be held accountable for their actions. That's pretty intense, isn't it?
it is. I think it reminds us that those with authority have a responsibility to use their power wisely
Right.
for the benefit of everyone. The prophecies suggest there might be a time of reckoning when those who have abused their power will be held accountable.
It makes you think about what's happening in the world today with all the social and political unrest we're seeing.
It's a good observation. The prophecies seem to suggest that we're in a period of intense transformation, the time when old structures and systems are being challenged and new ways of being are emerging.
It definitely feels like we're at a turning point in history. The choices we make now will affect generations to come.
Indeed, the Hopi prophecies remind us that we are not passive bystanders in all of this.
Right.
We're active participants with the power to shape what happens. They call on us to be mindful, to act with courage and compassion, and to work together to create a future worthy of our highest aspirations.
It's a call to action, a call to step up and play our part in making a better world.
Exactly. The Hopi prophecies offer a unique and timely perspective on the challenges and opportunities humanity is facing.
I agree.
They urge us to look beyond just the surface of things and seek deeper meaning and understanding.
Okay, so we've talked about the gourd of ashes, the importance of spiritual balance, technology, the value of ancient wisdom, this potential for a reckoning, and the call to action in these uncertain times. Anything else stand out to you from the Hopi survival kit?
There's one more detail I think is worth mentioning.
Okay, what's that?
The prophecies talk about a time when the white man with all his intelligence and technology will not be able to repair the damage.
Wow, that's a stark statement.
Why
What do you
not?
think it means?
I think it speaks to the limits of relying only on technology to fix the world's problems.
Right.
It seems to suggest that real solutions require a more holistic approach,
Right.
one that includes both the material and spiritual sides of life.
So it's not enough to just invent new gadgets or come up with clever tech fixes.
Right.
We need something more, something that connects us to a deeper sense of purpose.
Precisely. The Hopi prophecies remind us that true progress involves not just technology, but also spiritual evolution.
I see.
They challenge us to look beyond the material world and to cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
It's about finding a way to live in harmony
Yes,
with nature, with each other, and with those deeper truths that connect us all.
beautifully put. The Hopi prophecies offer a vision of a world where humanity and nature coexist in this state of dynamic balance.
Okay.
A world where we honor the wisdom of the past and embrace the possibilities of the future.
It's a vision worth striving for, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The Hopi prophecies offer a roadmap for getting through these turbulent times, a roadmap that leads us towards a future of peace, sustainability, and collective well-being.
We've definitely covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. But like you said, there's still so much more to unpack and explore.
There is. The Hopi prophecies are a rich source of wisdom and insight, and they offer a unique perspective on the challenges and opportunities facing humanity in this century.
You know, I feel inspired to learn more about these prophecies.
That's great.
And to think about how I can apply their wisdom to my own life.
That's a wonderful takeaway.
Yeah.
The Hopi prophecies invite us on this journey of self-discovery and collective transformation.
Right.
They remind us that we have the power to create a future that is both sustainable and fulfilling. A future where humanity and nature thrive together, in harmony.
And that's a future worth fighting for. Let's move on to the final part of our deep dive into the Hopi prophecies. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into these Hopi prophecies. You know, it's one thing to talk about these big predictions and warnings, but I'm curious about the prophecies themselves. Like, how are they passed down through time? Were they written on, like, ancient tablets or carved in stone? Give us the origin story of these prophecies.
Well, the origin story of Hopi prophecy is actually pretty fascinating. It's deeply intertwined with their oral tradition.
Oral tradition, so like word of mouth.
Exactly. Imagine these prophecies being passed down through generations and generations,
Wow.
shared through stories, songs, ceremonies, everyday life. It's not so much a fixed text, but more like a living body of knowledge,
I see.
constantly evolving and adapting over time.
So we can't just like find some ancient scroll and decipher these cryptic verses.
Not quite. While some elements might have been written down later, the true heart of these prophecies lives within the Hopi community itself. It's embedded in their cultural practices and communal memory.
That's even more intriguing. Like a living, breathing wisdom. But how can we be sure these prophecies are authentic? I mean, how do we know they haven't been changed or embellished over time?
That's a valid question. Authenticity in oral traditions is a complex thing.
Yeah.
It's not about word-for-word accuracy,
Right.
but more about the continuity of the meaning, the core messages.
I see.
And Hopi elders and cultural keepers, they play a crucial role in safeguarding the integrity of these prophecies,
Okay.
ensuring they remain true to their essence.
So it's about trusting those who hold this knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
The people who've dedicated their lives to preserving these traditions.
Yes, and it's also about approaching these prophecies with respect
Uh-huh.
and a willingness to learn from a different worldview,
I like that.
a different way of understanding time, humanity, and our place in the grand scheme of things.
Right. It's a good reminder that knowledge and wisdom can be found in many forms, not just in books. Okay, let's go back to what these prophecies actually say. One of the biggest themes is this idea of choice, that fork in the road between destruction and renewal.
Uh-huh.
So what does that choice look like in our everyday lives? What actions would the Hopi say lead us toward that positive outcome?
Well, the Hopi worldview emphasizes living in harmony with nature,
Okay.
respecting the interconnectedness of everything, and honoring the sacredness of life.
I see.
So practical actions could be things like protecting our natural resources,
Okay.
promoting sustainable living, fostering strong communities, and cultivating gratitude and reverence for the earth.
So it's not about waiting for some savior to come and fix everything or making these huge dramatic gestures.
No, it's about the choices we make each day,
Right.
the way we treat each other and the planet.
The little things adding up.
Exactly. The Hopi prophecies emphasize personal responsibility and the power of collective action. They say even small acts of kindness, compassion, and taking care of the environment can make a difference.
It's recognizing that we're all connected.
Yes. Our actions have ripple effects,
Right.
and we have the power to choose a path that leads to healing and harmony.
You got it. The Hopi prophecies remind us the future isn't set in stone. It's woven from the choices we make collectively.
It's like we're all weaving this tapestry together.
Exactly. They're calling on us to be mindful, to act with intention,
Okay.
and to choose a path that aligns with our highest values.
As we wrap up this deep dive, is there anything else you think is important for our listeners to take away from these Hopi prophecies? Any final thoughts you want to leave them with?
I think the most important takeaway, especially with these prophecies that can seem daunting, is hope.
Hope.
While there are warnings, there's also this vision of a future filled with peace, balance, and spiritual renewal.
Right, it's not all doom and gloom.
We have the power to choose that future, to create a world where humanity and nature thrive together in harmony.
That's a powerful message. Even with uncertainty and potential challenges, there's always hope, always that possibility of a better world. Exactly. And that choice, that power to shape our destiny, it's within each of us.
So to our listener, as you go about your day, we'll leave you with this thought. What choices can you make, big or small, that contribute to that vision of a more harmonious world? What steps can you take to embody those values of connection, respect for nature, and reverence for life? The Hopi prophecies remind us the future is a living thing, and we each have a hand in shaping it.